Hello, I'm meteorologist Don Lures, and thank you for joining us for this edition of Weather Awareness. Getting deep into springtime now and heading towards summertime, and that makes people think about their plans for the summer. And right now we have Jim Allen, a local beekeeper right here in Dillon County, joining us to talk about how things went for him over the winter season, and now we're into spring, and what he's looking ahead to for this summer across Dillon and Marion counties. Welcome, Jim.
Thank you, Don. Good to be here again.
Yeah, good to have you here. Tell me a little bit about the bee business and how things are usually trending this time of year. I know it's kind of a seasonal job for you where every season brings different tasks and different stages. What's going on as we go on through April?
Well, we came out of the winter well. We had a few winter losses, and that was to be expected. It's just a part of the bee business every winter.
Is that because of cold weather, or what's that related to?
The cold weather will affect it a little bit. Even though we had a mild winter, coming out, we have to watch our hives really close during February and late February and March. Things slow down as far as blooming. Things will kind of warm up. The bees start becoming more active. They start eating more honey inside the hive, and then it turns cold again, and they're sitting in there and they can't get out and work, and they're eating more. So it's sometimes some of the hives can starve, or sometimes the queens just have a problem, some kind of problem with the queens, and the queens fail, and then the hive kind of goes down. So for one reason or another, and varroa mites could affect them, viruses, and they inflict viruses in the hives, and so without testing, we don't know. Sometimes you can tell what they died for by looking through the hive, and sometimes it's kind of a coin toss to what it was. But anyway, we got the majority of the hives through the winter well, and they're looking good coming into the spring. Good. We've got a lot blooming now, so the bees are bringing in a lot of pollen and a lot of nectar. We've got the honey flow coming on, the spring honey flow, which will be our biggest honey flow of the year, and we'll have some smaller honey flows coming in off and on through the summer, but up until the fall. But this is the biggest one. This is our peak honey flow of the year, our spring honey flow. And even though there's a trickle coming in now, it'll intensify. It'll be really intense coming in here in about another week or two. And usually around April 5th, give or take a few days, it starts, and the bees are just wide open until about mid-May. So, and then it kind of tapers off. And we'll start pulling honey in May.
And then as you go through the summertime, it's different, maybe, is it fruit trees, or what is it as you go later into the season?
Well, there are a few different wild trees in the woods that'll bloom through the summer months, and the soybean fields will bloom, and right. We've seen them working soybeans. Some years they seem to work it better than others, and so it's kind of a year-to-year thing. You never know how it's going to be. And along with the cotton, sometimes they work cotton as well, and that kind of varies to how well they do on it. But the spring crop will always is my favorite, and that's the most intense. We have I've got the state bee inspector coming out Monday, and he's going to take samples from the hives, and this will be our 4th year having our bees tested.
And that's all voluntary, right?
That's all voluntary. Okay. So I definitely volunteer my name for the list, and they have the samples sent to Beltsville, Maryland Bee Lab, and some of the samples, once they reach that bee lab, will get sent to Gastonia, North Carolina Bee Lab, and then I get a report, and the bee inspector gets a report. So that way we know what's going on. It helps him to know what's going on around the state in South Carolina, right? With the honeybees and the beekeepers, and it lets me know as a South Carolina beekeeper what's going on in my part of the state.
Yeah, you talked a little bit about how the variability in the late winter with the up and down temperatures can affect the bees some. How about as we go into later spring and summer when we get the intense heat? Does that have any impact on the hives? those days of 95, 100, or above 100?
It does. It does. Last year, I saw this, and I'm sure it's happened before, but I've just really noticed it last year, where the bees were cannibalizing the eggs and larvae
Well, we
in the
had an
hives.
exceptional number of days of 95 plus last year.
That's right. That's right. And what happens is when we reach those high temps like that, the bees can't control the incubation temperature in the hives. And at that point, they start cannibalizing the eggs and larvae because they know they can't incubate them.
Interesting.
Yep. So we saw a decline in the hives where they dropped off from the heat, the extreme heat. And once the temperatures dropped just a few degrees, then the queens were laying again, and then we saw the nest growing again.
Rebuild.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. The honey flow that comes in the springtime is, you said it's your largest. Ratio-wise, how does that compare to the fall honey run? Is it like twice as big, 3 times as big, 10 times as big?
It's 2 or 3 times as big. And that, well, and each honey flow varies. And we're farming just like a crop farmer.
Exactly.
Farming bees, but we're totally dependent upon the weather. If it's too hot, we're not making honey. If it's too cold, we're not making enough honey. If it's too much rain, it washes out the nectar and the bees aren't able to get out and work, and we're not making honey. If it's too dry, we're not making honey. And so we're totally dependent on the weather, and we need everything to have a happy medium, that fine balance.
So I guess it would be safe to say if the crop farmers are having a good year, you're probably having a good year?
That's about right.
Yeah, because they depend on that steady weather too, not too hot, not too cold, get enough rain, not too dry. Before you leave, I wanted to catch one other topic with you. Of course, everyone's been talking about the coronavirus that's hit the country so hard and made a big impact on everyone's life. How's it impacted your business?
Well, as a whole, I don't feel like my business has been highly impacted. Definitely somewhat impacted, but honey sales are still good, and I think because it's honey is an all-natural food, it's a health food, and people are more into their health, especially now with the coronavirus going on. And so I'm finding honey sales actually to be up right now, and they have been for the past month. I'm hoping this is going to pass pretty soon. I
hope so too.
Yeah. So hopefully, and everything will get back to the norm. I know it's caused a lot of people to be laid off from their jobs, and you know, we hate to see that. Although I think they're working on a bill now to kind of help some of the people that have been laid off. You know, the grocery store shelves have been getting cleaned out. As a matter of fact, I'll go ahead and make a little plug for Market on Main in Lakeview. Matthew Evington, he's got a really nice little grocery store there in Lakeview, and I think his shelves are stocked well, and we just stocked him up with some good Uncle Jim Southern honey, some good local grown, and so tell him Uncle Jim sent you.
I noticed going around, not just Lakeview, but also other communities across Dillon County and Marion County, I see a good bit of your honey in retail establishments, restaurants, so forth. It looks like you've gotten a good network to get your product out. Yeah,
we're it's pretty much advertisement by word of mouth, and just people enjoying our product. You know, good local grown honey, something that's good for you, medicinal. We're on Uncle Jim Southern. We're on Facebook, and you can go under Uncle Jim Southern Honey. And click a like on the video, but you can see some of what we've been doing. I posted a couple of videos through the winter of what we were doing with the bees, and you can look for some upcoming videos for what we'll be doing here in the spring and in the summer.
People will probably like that. When they see a video, it really brings it to life about all the, we've talked about it in some of our other interviews, just the intricacies of the bees' lifestyle. It's amazing all the different things that you can learn from watching the bees, and how
absolutely
I don't know if intelligent is the right word. I don't know, you tell me, but it seems like they're very sophisticated, put it that way.
They are. They're social insects, and they all network together. They all have a job. So some are foragers, some have guard duty at the entrance of the hive, some are gathering water, some propolis, some pollen, some nectar, and some are cleaning the hive, some are feeding the queen and grooming her, and some are feeding the young baby bees, and they're feeding the young eggs and larvae before it goes into the pupae stage in the hive. So they all have a job. They're all working in unison.
It really is. Well, we'll check out those videos, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time to hear how things are going through the spring and summer.
Thank you, Don.
Very good. Jim Allen with Uncle Jim's Southern Honey. Get somebody at a local retailer near you, and we'll be right back. If you are in the market for a car, truck, or SUV, you have to check out Parker's Used Cars. Parker's Used Cars is on Highway 38 South in Blenheim, located between Latta and Bennettsville. Tommy Parker, the owner, has built his reputation by selling high-quality vehicles for 29 years. You won't believe the selection. You'll have over 600 cars, trucks, and SUVs to pick from. Check them out online at parkersautos.com. That's parkersautos.com. Or call them at 843-528-3301. Parker's Used Cars in Blenheim, Highway 38. And welcome back to Weather Awareness. Springtime is here, and we're talking about making your yard look tip-top. And before that, we have James Carnes with the AMS Tree Service. And when folks go out and see their yard, maybe it's not looking quite as good as they would like. The trees are kind of drooping and hanging down. Right. What can you guys do to come in and maybe make that yard look the way that folks want it to look?
Go in there and get a lot of your low hanging limbs, get them out the way. We can actually raise the tree up a little bit, take some of the bottom limbs off of it, and gets a little bit more to the top and get it more fuller.
Right, and that actually probably is healthy for the tree, right?
Right.
Makes it grow a little better, makes it fill in a little better.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
That's important too for folks that are looking at their yard and it's not quite the way they want. Maybe they even have trees that, they're past the point where maybe they're even worth having in the yard. When you have a tree like that, is it best just to take it down, or should you trim it back real far? What would you suggest?
The real bad ones, it's better to go in there and just get it out. Because if you let it continue, like storms come through, you got to risk it coming down, ice, all that coming on it. Some of it looks bad. It's just better to get it out of the way. Better
get it on down. For folks that are wondering if it would benefit them to have a tree service come out, it's a simple phone call to have you come out, kind of assess their situation and give them advice, right?
Yes, we do free estimates. Go out there and tell you exactly what you need, and we can set up a time and get it done.
Very good. Now, folks do want to reach you to have that done and maybe take that step toward getting their spring yard looking great. How could they get in touch with you?
Get in touch with Kenny Cook. He's the owner. It's 843-610-9780.
Okay, one more time for folks that were waiting for that number.
843-610-9780.
Okay, and now another time of year I've always asked you to come on and talk about things is hurricane season. That's not too far away. Next time we'll get more in depth, but you've always had great advice about minimizing the damage to your home by seeing where you are in relation to your trees and branches that might be hitting your house if it got real windy. That's true for hurricanes, but it's also true for severe thunderstorms, which is a springtime thing. So just a little quick peek on that. What should people kind of eyeball themselves to see if that maybe that tree's not in a good spot? What would you look for?
Always look over your driveway, your walkways, even your house where your power comes into your house. You don't want none of that swinging, hitting your lines and all like that, but that's usually the main things, your main traffic areas. You got your car in the driveway, you're walking all the way on the walkway all the time, and just kind of, it's best to plan ahead.
Yeah. Where would you least like to have a tree fall? That's where you want to get rid of it,
exactly.
Right? Very good. Well, we'll talk more about that as we get to hurricane season, but hopefully folks will take your advice and get that yard looking tip-top for March and April.
That's right.
Very good. James Carnes with AMS Tree Service. And thank you so much for watching this edition of Weather Awareness. We'll catch you again next time.